Nicholas and I are going to do a team show this afternoon, and Nicholas is the greatest petitioner on earth, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've done as ballot access in the past and individual petitioning. And what we want you all to do is know how easy it is to get signatures, that there isn't a person in this room that can't get lots and lots and lots. And so we will also be available afterwards for you to ask us questions. So I'm going to let Nicholas begin.
Thanks, Janine. And I take that humbly, saying I'm the best in the country, in the world, It's a challenge. Petitioning is an art. And if you love art, get involved in it, because it's not that hard. I'll give you an example. Our first petition drive in America was in 1899, running a petition drive to get a mayor on the city of Boston on the ballot. We've come a long way now. In fact, every state except for Mississippi, you do not have to do a petition drive. I've been blessed to travel the world, and every country I go to, I ask them, how do you get on the ballot, run for office? Do you do a petition drive? They say, no. How do you do it? Well, we go to town hall. We sign a letter of intent, and we're on the ballot. That's how it should be in America. But we're stuck with this decision right now until we change the rules of that, and I'll lose one of my businesses because of that, which is okay with me. I don't mind. But petitioning is a fun thing. Now, Janine has done a lot of petitioning. She started way before I have. I'm standing upon her shoulders to build what I've done. I've done petitionings all over America from Maine to Hawaii. I love petitioning. I think it's a fun thing to do. It's a great way to build a party. How do you build a party? Hi. Are you a registered voter? And they say, yes. Would you please sign my petition? I'm trying to get an independent party the right to be on the ballot in whatever state you're in. And they're going to be objections. We will help train you because it's so simple. It's easy to get done. But the goal is that you have to get involved. How many people have done a petition drive before? How many have gotten over 100 signatures? 500? 1,000? 10,000? 50,000? 100,000? Plus, I have. Personally. I'm telling you, it's not hard. I've talked to over 1 million people so far across America to get a petition drive on the ballot. Sometimes it takes me 1 out of 10 to get a petition signature. It doesn't matter. Your purpose of running a petition drive is I get a signature. You're not to turn them around to be part of your philosophy, your principles, your ideas. Your goal is to get a signature. And you want to get in a high-traffic area, not in a low-traffic area. High, we have the most amount of people to be there to get your signature drive done. Some of the things I'm going to teach you one thing. It's very simple. You have to have a goal every time you go out. Every time you go out, you have to set yourself a goal. My goal is minimum between 200 to 300 signatures a day. If that means I have to get up early in the morning to get it done and stay up later at night, yes. If your goal is 50, make sure it's 50. If it's 10, it's 10. You don't have to do what I do. But you have to set a goal. And you go there presentable. If you guys are smokers, who smokes here? Don't really raise your hand. It's okay. Whatever smokes, make sure you have a clean breath when you're talking to people to run a petition drive. Because I'm telling you, turn people more off than on if you don't take care of yourself. Look presentable. I used to wear T-shirts and I use polos. Why? I look more presentable. And I smile, I look in people's eyes, say, hi, how are you? Be kind, because you know what? You're really asking them to give them, voluntarily, give them something that's very important to them. Their signature. Do you know how valuable a signature is? Very valuable. People can steal it. And you ask them kindly, would you please allow me to sign my petition sheet, to allow me to get this on the ballot? And our goal is to get the Constitution Party on the ballot. Now, I know you have a few stories, Janine. You have a few stories. Well, come on, tell them a story or two of yours.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you that you can be as aggressive or non-aggressive as you want when you're getting signatures. I want to tell you one little story about my mother. She just passed away this year. She was 95, and it's okay to go to heaven when you're 95. And she was helping us to get on the ballot, and she was 75 years old. Nevada has been on the ballot every year, and our party in Nevada is the affiliate of the Constitution Party, and it's named the Independent American Party. And we were trying to get on. And we ended up getting over 17,000 signatures. We did it all with volunteers. And my mom was determined to get 1,000 signatures. And my brother told her she was not to be out after dark by herself getting signatures. But my mom raised independent children because she was an independent person. And she was out that night, the last day to get signatures, in the dark, getting signatures no, it wasn't a Walmart. It was in a grocery store parking lot. And someone accosted her because we had been opposing homosexual marriage, etc., in Nevada. And she ended up falling down and breaking her hand. But she got up and stayed there until she got the other 25 signatures she needed to make her 1,000. Now, if you want to get signatures, you've got to have some wherewithal to get signatures. She got her 1,000 signatures for us to get on the ballot. And each one of you has the wherewithal inside of you to do it. Now, she loved petitioning because she loved to talk to people, and she was friendly, and Nicholas has talked to you about that. And I think there's a couple of important things that I always do. He said to set a goal. That's very important. Before I go out, I always pray because I know that the Lord can send me to a better location than I might be able to find by myself. And I always remember to smile. Because why? Because we're friendly, aren't we? And we have something wonderful to sell. And one of the good things to do when you're asking people is you don't want to talk a lot. You want to say as little as possible. So when I go out, the first thing I say is, "Are you a registered voter?" And if they aren't, I say, "Have a great day." Because I don't want to waste any time with them. Every moment you speak that you're not saying what you need to be saying is wasting time. You could be getting another petition signature. So the next thing I say is, "Would you sign my petition to let an independent party on the ballot?" Or whatever works for you. And I'm not going to show them a copy of the platform. I'm not going to even tell them what we believe. I don't care about that. What I care about is, will they put their name on my petition? Okay? Now, if they have a question, I might have a brochure and hand it to them and say, "If you're interested, talk to me later." But I'm not going to stand there, and if somebody wants to argue with me, I say, "Oh, you know what? You have a lot of good questions. Here's a brochure. I'll talk to you later." And I'm on to the next person. Why? Because every minute I spend talking to somebody that doesn't want to sign a petition is a minute I could have gotten another signature. Now, in 1996, I was National Ballot Access Coordinator, and I went over to Utah to get us on the ballot. That was before our fabulous Frank Flickinger. And so I was over there, and I took my husband with me, and he'd never gotten a signature in his life, but I was a good instructor. So we started out the first day, and I thought, well, we'd probably be doing good if we could get 20 signatures in an hour. So we went to the DMV, which is a very good place, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and started getting signatures, and we did very well. We got about 30 signatures an hour, which in most circumstances with relative good traffic is not bad. I would say if you get 15 signatures an hour in a lot of places, you're doing well. Or 20 signatures an hour, and the better you get and the less you talk, the more signatures you'll get. And so then the next day I said, well, let's try the Walmart. So we went to the Walmart, and before I'd gone, I had teenage children who I left at home with my mom, and I was worried because I had to be home in time. And I'd read a scripture that said, "The field is white and all ready to harvest." And so I knew that the Lord was going to provide me with the way to get those signatures. And as we worked, that day we averaged 40 signatures an hour. Now I'm sure that Nicholas gets more than that. But you're probably not a superhero like him. You're probably more like me. And so we were able to get all the signatures we needed, 1,000 signatures, and we got them with taking nearly one day off in 4 days. So we were able to get those together to get the signatures we needed. What you need is a positive attitude. Now, the hardest thing for most people is when they get rejected, when somebody says no. So how do you handle that? What do you do when somebody says no to you? "Oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I didn't do this right. They're causing the country to be destroyed." No, I don't do any of that. You know what I do? Next. Because as soon as they're out of my sight, I can get the next person that's going to sign. Next. I don't spend 1 second. When they say no, I say, next. I say that in my mind. And so that's the objective. We don't want to let those people put their negative influence on us. We've got to say next and be on to the next positive opportunity to get signatures. In 2000, I was the head of the Nevada petition drive to get 120,000 signatures to get the protection of marriage on the ballot in Nevada. And I was in charge of 16 out of 17 counties. I went to every one of the counties and held a little meeting on how to get signatures. And so I taught them how to do it. And then I'd follow up with them. And I'd follow up with them. And I'd follow up with them. And you know what I felt like? And when I was ballot access chairman, do you know what I felt like? I'm their mother. Okay? So if you have petitioners and you aren't being their mother, they're not going to succeed, or their dad, because you have to constantly be involved in helping them, encouraging them, in holding their hand, in promoting them, in giving them ideas. When I used to call on the phone in ballot access, and I'd tell them all how to do it and teach them how to do it, and then they'd go out and try, and they'd come back and I'd say, how did you do? And they'd say, oh, we got 10 signatures. I said, you didn't do what I told you to do, did you? Well, we were telling them about the party. That's not what we're doing here. We're not telling them about the party. We're getting on the ballot. We're getting signatures. And so we need to love the people. We need to love them that we work with. And we need to encourage them. And we need to hold their hands. Now, how many of you have petition drives in your state this year? Okay. So it's critical that you, and those of you in Wyoming are already do it, that you implement these simple procedures. But if you're in charge, you have to remember that they aren't going to succeed without your complete and entire support. And that's the reality of it. And let me just say this one more thing, and then I'm going to have Nicholas come up and teach us some more. Nevada this last year had 54 candidates statewide. On my ballot, we had every statewide office filled and many local races filled. And that's the most we've ever had. And we elected 3 people, we re-elected 1 person. Now, those people, the ones that we elected newly this year, they were all new to the party this year. In fact, I told one of them he didn't need to worry, he wouldn't get elected. I always tell all my candidates, so we have to have people elected to get on the ballot. So I always tell all of my candidates that, well, we don't expect them to get elected, but if they are, it was an act of God and He'll help them. So after you're on the ballot, the next step is to run candidates. And so what's our motto? Every member a candidate. Every member of the party. We have people running, 13 people on the ballot in my own little county, a small rural county. We expect everybody to be a candidate because then we have more ambassadors for the party and we don't have to go out and get signatures anymore in doing that. But you can be very successful. And we had these new people come to us. They asked us if they could be candidates. For instance, we elected a district attorney in Esmeralda. We elected a county commissioner in White Pine. We elected a public administrator who was 20 years old in Nye County. They came to us now because we have established ourselves as a party that has candidates and we're running for office. If you don't have every person in your party being a candidate, then you're failing in your mission. My mother was 86 years old and she ran for office. And she was one of our very best candidates and got over 30,000 votes. And when she was on the radio being interviewed, and she did a wonderful job, she was running for public administrator, she was absolutely delightful. And I was listening on the radio, and some of you heard me tell this story before. The person that was interviewing her at the end of the interview said, "Will you marry me?" And she said, "Well, not at this time." So you never know what wonderful thing might happen when you're getting signatures or running for office. You know, you just don't know what blessing. So I'm going to let Nicholas give you a little more of the technical details of how to be a success. But remember, you can do it. Anybody can do it if you decide that you will allow the Lord and those that know how to help you.
We mentioned... See, I stand on the shoulders of someone who taught me, and that's what a successful person does. I learned that from Isaac Newton, that he stood on the shoulders of people that led him. And I want to go back to goals, because I think that's so important. Not only do you have to have goals, you have to have group goals. What I do, I have a special index card. Anybody that runs a petition drive with me, I ask them to sign this little goal card to tell me how many signatures they're going to get. Why? Then I can keep on track of what they're doing. Are you out today? No, my cat had diarrhea for 3 days, so that's not an excuse. You can't use that. Our goal is most important, to get the signatures. Did you talk to anybody in your office? Did you talk to anybody in the grocery store? Did you go to the gas station today? Yeah. Well, ask everybody you see. Are you a registered voter? Would you please sign my petition to allow an independent party the right to be on the ballot? I have worked through these words so much. The word right, opportunity, I use positive sell words. I'm a salesman, and I'm proud of being a salesman. And you're a salespeople too. You're selling freedom and liberty, an opportunity to be on the ballot so our future grandchildren have better freedom than we do now. So be proud of being a salesperson. There's nothing wrong with it. But you want to make sure anybody in your part of your team has to have an index card telling you how many signatures they're getting. Because then you add them all up. You say, oh, good. I need 10,000. I have 8,000 committed here. I don't trust 8,000, but I have 8,000 committed, which means I'm going to make sure they get their 8,000. And you're going to have to be there on a regular basis. And you do that. I have meetings on a regular basis, generally once a week. We get together. We bring our signatures together, and I take them out of their hands. I don't want them to keep them in the car, or the cat does something on it, the dog does something on it, or some excuse happens. So I want them in my hand every week. That's so important. And you make it a regular time you get those signatures. If you don't, I guarantee you, those signatures will slip out of your hands. They'll say, I had them, but something happened to them. No, if they're in your hands. Now, Kurt, when I worked with you in Kansas, right too, as fast as I could. I want them out of hands. Why? I'm done with them. You want to make sure they're done. They feel confident now they've done something with the drive. The same thing with Scott. In your state, same thing. Got to give them to you. I don't want them. It's over. It's done. This way, my mind's clear. And also, those petitioners are the same thing. Their mind's clear. They've given theirs 50 or 100 or 1,000 signatures, and they're done with you right now. You know, when you want to encourage them, I would have pizza parties. Get together and have some pizza. Bring the signatures and have a little pizza. Give them some reward for doing the work. Remember, they're not getting paid zero for it. If they're getting paid zero, the only thing they're going to get from you is encouragement. The encouragement is maybe a little pizza here. You see them as they're doing a drive. You bring them a coffee or a Coke or whatever you give them when they're doing their drive. You see them working and reward them when they're working. It's a small thing. But I tell you, it's a lot because when I petition, I carry a gallon of water with me because I'm drinking a lot, because I'm talking to a lot of people. And let me tell you, nobody has to encourage me. I've gone beyond that. But that other person out there, that newcomer, the new person trying it, they need that little encouragement, whatever you give them. You got to. It might seem nothing to you, but I guarantee it means a lot to them. And make sure they're committing on a Saturday. Saturday, you got, I don't know about you have transfer stations here. Do you have grocery stores? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the best times to petition. The best time. Why? Because people are off of work. They're a lot more relaxed. I do parades. I get between 200 to 500 signatures in a parade. Depends how big the drive is. And I carry special boards. I don't use clipboards. If anybody want to get trained by Janine and I personally, if you want to, you can do it later. We'll have a little class together. I'll bring my boards. I'll show you what I do. I use the right kind of pens because I have it down to a science. And it works. And I teach people the same thing. It's easier for them. Sometimes I'm carrying between 6 to 10 different boards, double-sided. Why? If I have 20 towns or 20 counties, I have a county for every board. On my board, I have everything organized, alphabetical. I mean, I can flip through these real fast, because you have to be organized if you want to get the numbers done fast. You know, Gina, how it is. If you're not organized, you're not going to get any signatures. Also, what you want to do is make sure that if they're volunteering or helping you and they have a name of somebody and they like what you're talking about, get their email and a phone number, put on a sheet on the side, and then give it to the chairman to call them up. Every state I've been to, when I talk to people and they like that philosophy or ideas or principles, I ask them, do you have an email? Do you have a phone number? You like to get involved in our party? Yeah. In fact, Howard, I was in New Hampshire recently, and a gal that was a delegate from New Hampshire was up there signing my petition sheet. And her name slips me right now, but she wants to thank you for getting her involved in it, because it wasn't for you, she wasn't involved in New Hampshire at that time and wouldn't have been in San Diego in '96. But the message is, yes, we want the signature, but also the sub-message, we want to get the story out there. We have a story. And you want to make it short and simple. You don't want to get into a long dissertation. And if I see an NRA emblem on her hat or shirt, so yeah, we're pro-Second Amendment. Would you please sign a petition? If I see they're pro-life, oh yeah, we're pro-life. Sign a petition. You look at the body, and when I talk to them, I look for signs to allow me to let them give me their signature. It's called body language. And I could tell when a person's ready to sign. Would you please sign my petition? As I nod my head right now, that's how softly I'm doing it with them, and they're within 2 feet of me. I see her hand move towards my pen. Thank you very much. Thank you for signing a petition. Before they even said yes, they're signing my petition. The other day I was in New Hampshire, and I had a woman sign my petition, and she went to the police officer to report me. The police officer comes to me, I'm at a post office. So what are you doing? I said, I'm running a petition drive. She said, well, lady just complained because she thinks you're doing something wrong here. I said, well, no, I'm trying to get an independent party on the ballot. She said, what do you have to do? I said, we have to get signatures. You know, New Hampshire, we only get 14,000 signatures. He said, I never knew that was a law. I said, well, check with your dispatcher, check the law. We have to get petition drives all across America. And the police officer had no idea. So some of the officers who are talking to you when you're petitioning, they have no idea you're doing the right thing. We both have been arrested. We were proud about it. We don't like that we had to get a name on a list that were arrested, but we've been arrested several times, one time, and we don't like it. You don't have to do that. If a police officer come to you and you have a problem, walk away. Jim gave me his camera one time to use because an officer was approaching me saying, "Come petition." I said, "Excuse me." Turned the camera. I said, "Would you tell me what I can't do here? It's the park." He said, "You can't petition here." I said, "Oh, hold on." He said, "Turn the camera off. I'll take it from you." I said, "Excuse me, you have cameras on me? I should have a right to have a camera on you." Good for you. Yeah, it saved me. You have to be aggressive. Not as much as I am, because most of you won't be that way, but that's okay. Be like Janine. She's softer. I'm a little bit aggressive.
Thank you, Nicholas. No one would have said that before you did.
But I will be in their face. You don't have to be like me, please don't. You might get arrested. But do yourself a favor. Make sure you're committed to the petition drive. And make sure whoever's running a petition drive is committed to get the petition drive done. Remember in '96 when I called Howard, I said, I'm really ready to get the petition, get the U.S. Taxpayers Party on the ballot in Illinois. He told me, he said, "Nicholas, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of signatures." And I told him, no problem. Why? I was committed. You have to get committed in your drive. You're not going to get your state on the ballot unless you make sure you're committed and the other people involved in your state also committed. I'm telling you, it's easy. Just get them involved with you. Say, "Hey, you're my friends. Let's get together. Let's do something about this. Let's stand together as freedom fighters." We're fighting for our freedom. Now, Janine has a lot of other things to talk about, too. I know she does. But, if you want any teaching privately, I'll do it. If you want to hire my company, yes, I'm a salesman. You can hire me. And I'll bring a crew into your state if you have problems. I'm not trying to promote that. I'm just trying to tell you, if you need help, ask us right now. Now it's all free. We would love to help you. I mean, no matter what, bring us to your state if you need help. We get a crew there to help you if you're having problems. But I think you could do it voluntarily with most people in your state. If you get together and make a drive so strong that everybody wants to get involved. You got to have to give them the vision to get involved. You just can't tell them, "Oh, I have a mission." No, you have to have a vision. Let's get this on the ballot. Let's get going. Let's get our party going in this state, wherever state you're in. Yes?
Nicholas, I have a question.
Sure.
It's important
Come to the mic, please.
Sure. I'm Mary Rakowski, right from right here in Idaho. It's important to get the petitions, but I understand a lot of them are thrown out because the people can't read them, and I've looked at them, and a lot of them are hard to read. Do you address that? And if so, it's touchy because you want to say sign it, but please write legibly. So how do you handle that?
If they cannot write properly, I will ask them what their address is. I'll write it myself. If they can't, I can't read the name upside down, I tell them, you know what, I cannot read your name upside down, so that the clerk cannot read your name right side up. Would you please print your name next to it? Saves an objection right there.
And they usually go along okay with
Oh yeah, you know what? It makes you smile. You have fun with them.
Nicholas, on that suggestion, in Illinois, we print our petitions with a print box too.
Most states
and
don't.
That saved us huge.
But most states, Brandy, most states don't.
Well, our state does require printed, and I was just going to say that. And when I ask them when they say yes, they'll sign my petition, the very next thing I say is print your last name first. And if you don't watch what they're doing when they're signing your petition, you may end up with a signature that's no good. In Nevada now, we can be charged with a felony, a misdemeanor or a felony if we touch the petitions or correct them. We used to fix the date, we used to fix the address. We're not allowed to do that anymore. So if you're not paying attention to help them know what to do, and if somebody's done it wrong the first time, then everybody below them will do it wrong unless you are watching what they're doing. So when they tell me, yes, they'll sign my petition, I don't say anything else. I say, print your last name first. And then I say, signature, mailing address, or physical address, which was what you usually need. And of course, like Nicholas was talking about, getting them from different townships. In Nevada, we have to get them by county. So you have to have a different petition for each county. You need to check the laws in your own state for ballot access and what the process of getting petitions is, so that you know that law very, very well before you start. And you need to make sure you've researched the deadlines. And of course, you can assume that if you need 5,000 signatures, you'll probably have to get 7,500. You need a third more to be safe. You really do, unless you're checking every single signature. And even then, you need additional signatures because you don't know what kind of court challenges are coming your way. When we did it in Nevada, we had almost twice the numbers of signatures that we needed, so there wasn't any problem. And you need to verify them as you go along. And what I mean by that is you need to ask them specifically if they're registered to vote. You need to get them on the petition for the right county or the right town. And that's your responsibility as you're doing it, because you may get a lot of signatures if you don't that aren't any good. And I just mentioned this. We have a right to petition in this country, but public officials want, we have a right to petition, but not on public or private property. Now, what do you mean? What do you mean we have a right to petition, but not on public or private property? That's often the case when you're facing trying to get a location. We went to the Nevada State Legislature and changed the law that they had to allow us to petition on public places like the Department of Motor Vehicles. We went to the legislature and had the law changed in order to assure that. Well, the year that we got that law changed, I was petitioning to get Axe the Tax on the ballot. And they would not allow us. They kept throwing my people off on the Reno City bus depot. And so my son and I and my friend went up there, and I had called them and told them I was coming. And I said, no, I'm not going to fill out your permission form because the Nevada state law doesn't require it. And I've been a citizen lobbyist for every session since 1971, full time for the last 20 years. So I knew what the law was, and I was in the hearing. So I knew what it was. And so they insisted on me, and they called the police, and they brought the paddy wagon. They handcuffed me. They handcuffed my son. They threw us in the paddy wagon and hauled us off to the jail, and we were there for 7 hours. And you know, I said the worst thing that happened to me, cruel and unusual punishment, I had to watch the final episode of Friends while I was there. But I don't suggest to you that you challenge the law in that same way. Most of the time when the cops come and tell me they're going to arrest me, I say, okay, we'll leave. And then later when they're gone, I come back and petition anyway. So there are a lot of ways to get around it. But because we challenged the law, my friend was there taking pictures. She had pictures of us handcuffed. And because we challenged it, after that, there's been no problem in Nevada for us to have access to public places. So was it worth it for us to challenge? I'm not asking the average person that wants to go out and get signatures to go to jail. I hope you understand that. What I'm telling you was, in this particular instance, there was a great benefit that came to us for being willing to endure the personal humiliation of having been arrested. Because after that, we didn't have problems in sending people out to public locations because they knew we'd stand up against them. And I was exonerated in Nevada all the way to the Nevada Supreme Court. So we won. But what that did was put the people who were trying to stop us on notice. They better watch out, because we weren't going to be intimidated. But don't send your new petitioner out to do something like that. Okay? No, don't do that. My son and I were the ones that did it, and he'd been raised on petitioning. So he was very good as we sat there. And I said, well, Zach, what should we do? He said, if we don't go to jail, Mom, there'll be no news. There'll be nothing in the paper tomorrow. I said, okay, we're going. So that's real important. Now, I want to just mention about location. Nicholas mentioned about location. It's very important to have high traffic areas. A lot of people want to set up a table and sit there and get signatures. You'll never do it. If you're in a parking lot, you've got to be walking to every single person that's a potential person. And I used to try to guess who would sign and who wouldn't. And most of the time, I couldn't make that guess. So I just asked everybody. And I think that's very important. Now, they talked about parades and events, and all of those are important. We had a couple of counties where there wasn't any Walmart. There wasn't any grocery store. And so we had to go in these little tiny counties, and we'd go to the post office, and of course, you're not supposed to be on their parking lot. So, but there were some post offices that had a sidewalk around them. So we petitioned there, and we went to the only little grocery store. And I've gone door to door in many small communities in Nevada to get a handful of signatures. We had one county had to be almost entirely qualified by us going door to door, and that's the slowest way to do it. But that might be your only alternative in a certain area where you have to get a certain number of signatures. But other than that, you need to pick high traffic locations with easy access that you can do, because that makes all the difference when you're getting signatures. And remember, don't send inexperienced people out by themselves. Take them with you and teach them how to do it. And when you do that, pretty soon they'll be an expert like you. And you'll be very successful in getting, and as Nicholas said, you have to keep track of what everybody did. We had a big thermometer, and every week we'd call every county and see how far up on our thermometer when we were getting on the ballot in Nevada, how many we had. And it's very important to keep that going. And who had the vision in our state was my brother Dan. And he was a fabulous petitioner. And I remember when they were first getting on the ballot back in the 60s, when we were trying to get Wallace on the ballot, because we were on the ballot then, my mother got 5,000 signatures by herself. And I was a teenager, and I swore I'd never go another place with her. Every place we went, to the grocery store, to the post office, my mother was there for an hour getting signatures. I said, that's it, Mom, you'll not see me again. But I learned how to petition because my mom was a fabulous petitioner, and she was willing to do it. And what you have to be willing to do is, what does the Lord say? If we want to have help from the Lord, what does he say we have to do? Ask, ask, ask. And that's the way we succeed. We just have to ask. And everyone we get's a blessing, and everyone that we don't is next. We're going to get the next one. And so we have to keep a positive attitude. Nicholas, you have a couple things you want to finish up with, and then we'll be done. After I say that final word.
It's interesting. We have two different styles. Janine will say next right away till the person says no. But if I see something in their eyes or body language, I'll do another close. Another line that I use to get them to sign a petition. To me, my time with them at that last one more close or two or three closes saves me from asking somebody else. If I'm doing a high traffic area where I'm going to be there for 2 weeks, I don't care if I lose that one right now, but they'll see me again. And they'll come, and I've gone beyond this now. I have a unique sign. I have a petition sign I carry with me to stand. That when I know it's okay to bring it into the area where I'm working, I put it there. It says, petition. Sign here, please, help us get an independent party on the ballot. I have an American flag on it. Why? Because those people are walking by who are thinking, maybe I'm selling them something. They're thinking, no, he's doing a petition drive. And they'll come back and say, oh, what do you have? And they'll sign my petition. It saves me time from talking to them. When you're talking to 4,000 or 5,000 people in a day, that's a lot of people. And I want to make sure I get as many people as I can. And they'll see the sign there for 2 weeks. And they know I didn't push them the first time. But they know that I was there getting other signatures. And they'll come back and say, you know what? I saw you. I've said no to you a couple times. You know what? I felt embarrassed because I lied to you. I'm a registered voter. I'm sorry. I'll sign that petition. I've gotten so many of those. But I fine-tune my art. And if you do the same thing, and if you're the new petitioner and you think it's a great thing, I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal thing. You get to meet a lot of great people, and sometimes I take the time to talk to them. I mean, we have different styles. She'll say next, next, next. I see an older woman, I see something wrong, I see something in her eyes that needs somebody to talk to her, and I'll talk to her. I'll spend my 15 or 20 minutes. Yes, I'll lose some signatures, but maybe she needed a prayer, maybe she needed a hug, maybe she need to talk to me personally. I don't mind stopping and helping somebody at that point. But don't be like me. Do what you can. Get your numbers first. And if you can't get there yet, if you see somebody who's crying in her eyes in her spirit, maybe they need 5 minutes with you, a little prayer, a little time. Because I guarantee you they probably do. You'll see it, like I see it all the time. And I tell you, there's a lot of lonely people out there. Remember that song from the Beatles? And there's a lot of lonely people. Jeannie, want to close?
We just want to leave you with a positive word, and that is that you can do it. Years ago when Phyllis Schlafly sent me down to Florida, there was a little sign on the Republican legislator's door. It said, "We, the unwilling, are doing the impossible for the ungrateful." You ever feel that way? We have done so much for so long with so little. We are now capable of doing anything with nothing. Now, there's nobody that can do more with nothing than the Constitution Party, because what we have is we have a mission from the Lord to go out and save the Constitution, His Constitution. In Article 7, it says, "In the year of our Lord." We recognize the Lord in the Constitution. And we have a mission. We have a mission to perform. And so in Nevada, we have a little motto about all we do. And I just wanted to say, all the time you don't get permission to go places. And sometimes it's important to get permission and set up a table, and sometimes you don't have permission. And I always say it's better to beg forgiveness than ask permission, oftentimes. But in Nevada, we have a little motto, and we say, be realistic, expect a miracle. And you can when you're on the Lord's errand. Thank you all. Go out and get those signatures.